We're going to be diving back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we're going to be talking about the Young Avengers. So I've kind of made my feelings and my thoughts clear about the Young Avengers and an upcoming project of this nature. I mean, I've spoken to people online, offline, and the majority of the people that I've spoken to who are MCU fans don't seem interested, don't seem to care. They're not bothered about a Young Avengers project. But Marvel, they seem to be infatuated with this idea of generating a Young Avengers project, and I'm not really sure why. It doesn't seem like the fan base are interested or want it. But regardless, if it's written well, if it's done, in a good way, I guess it could be compelling. My hype and anticipation, if I had to rate this out of 10, I would say I'm probably at a 2. Like, I'm really not that interested. But if a good trailer comes out, it could change my mind. But let's jump in and break down this news. It looks like the Young Avengers name could be being changed. It could be kind of being rebranded here. So this could be a little bit interesting. So let's find out what is going on here. So this comes to us from comicbookmovie.com. Rumor, new details on why Young Avengers is now called the Champions, and more on Daredevil, Hawkeye Season 2, and Nova. So we do have some other tidbits of information within the MCU here as well. So, at first, we reported yesterday evening, Marvel Studios has reportedly given up on producing a Young Avengers movie and will instead focus on bringing the Champions to Disney+. So yeah, it looks like it's being changed from a movie over to a series, and the name is being rebranded as well. This is for obvious reasons. As a movie, the Young Avengers, Marvel have realized that it would make no money. Based on the track record of what happened with the Marvels, it made zero money. Nobody cared about the Miss Marvel Disney Plus show either. One of the lowest watched on record when it comes to Disney Plus. So the Marvels bombed, Miss Marvel the TV show, and overall the lack of interest in a Young Avengers project. I think Marvel have realized it would tank at the box office, so they're trying to rebrand it and then turn it into a series as well. So I can understand why they're doing that. It makes sense, but still. So, unfortunately, the moment for the Young Avengers to assemble has arguably passed. We've been saying this for the past few years as these characters are aging up quickly, while the clear lack of focus in the Multiverse saga's early stages did little to get them to where they needed to be for a team-up. Yeah, this is the thing as well, isn't it? The Multiverse saga, I mean, it's been a bit of a mess. There's been no clear overarching narrative direction like there was in the earlier phases of the MCU, where every single movie added to the overall story of the MCU going forward. Every little puzzle piece fit in nicely. The overall narrative, the arching story kept going forward. Whereas in the Multiverse saga, it's just like one movie after the next, but it doesn't seem that the overall story is going forward. It's kind of just a random mix of all these different characters all over the place. Nobody's leading the Avengers now. Nobody's kind of in charge of the MCU. Whereas we had Tony Stark and Steve Rogers before. Now we have no kind of main players. So it's been a bit of a mess. And they've kind of failed to highlight the Young Avenger characters, to bring them together, to kind of thrust them into a Young Avengers project. It doesn't feel like it's been earned. It doesn't feel like anybody cares or is emotionally attached to those characters. So they've kind of failed, getting people hyped about a Young Avengers project, in my mind. So Daniel Rickman, for those of you who don't know, Daniel Rickman, he's a online social media scooper on X, on Twitter, on Facebook, stuff like that. He gets a lot of scoops right. He gets a lot of things wrong. So take this information with a pinch of salt. Daniel Rickman is today reporting the reason for the Champions rebrand is indeed because many of the actors are no longer, young. The comic book version of the Young Avengers are all teens. So yeah, a lot of the actors and actresses that are in the Young Avengers roles that we've seen so far in the MCU, they're like 30 plus years old, or like in their late 20s, so that they can't really be called the Young Avengers because they're not teenagers anymore. So yeah, another kind of that's another kind of point when it comes to changing the title as well. The Young Avengers, I mean, like, wait a minute, they're all like 30 years old. You can't call them young anymore. I'm not sure I like the name Champions though. It's a bit like generic. Champions, let's go and watch the Champions show. I mean, like, sounds a bit generic, sounds a bit plain, a bit boring. Come up with something a bit more inventive, Disney. I mean, come on. The search for the showrunner has begun, and the main reason we're getting a movie instead of a TV show is supposedly down to the Marvels underperforming at the box office. We all know how bad that did. It lost them hundreds of millions of dollars, the Marvels. It seems Miss Marvel wasn't the draw Marvel Studios expected, surely leaving them to conclude that a streaming audience isn't necessarily going to follow these heroes into theaters without a good enough reason. Absolutely the case. That's absolutely the case. Disney CEO Bob Iger has also discussed the importance of protecting the Avengers brand, and a Young Avengers spin-off underperforming could risk tarnishing the main event movies, which are guaranteed moneymakers, of course. Yeah, I mean, with these two massive MCU high-profile projects on the horizon, with Secret Wars, and Doomsday. That's the one I wanted to say. I almost forgot then. Doomsday and Secret Wars. Two massive Avengers projects on the horizon. The last thing they want to do is bring out the Young Avengers and have it tarnish the brand and the reputation of an Avengers movie, and obviously put a lot of people off going to see Doomsday and Secret Wars. That would be a really bad disaster. So again, another reason for the rebrand: the age of the characters, and also the Avengers brand, protecting that as well. So those two things kind of make sense there. The Scooper has dropped a few minor updates, including the fact that television is searching for a female actor to play the mayoral candidate in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. We're not sure what this means for Wilson Fisk. Hawkeye Season 2 is expected to begin shooting next fall for a 2026-2027 release on Disney+. I actually quite enjoyed that first season of Hawkeye, and I want to see more of Jeremy Renner. I love the guy as Hawkeye. I think he's such a talented actor, and I want to see more of his involvement in the MCU going forward. We probably won't get that, but I hope he has a really big role to play in the next Avengers movies, because like I say, Jeremy Renner, he's such a great actor, and the Hawkeye character is so compelling and so great, and I would love to see more of him. Anna Nova isn't being lined up for a start production until around the same time, perhaps early 2026. Let me just say that again. So Hawkeye Season 2 expected to begin shooting fall of 2026, 2027, and Nova isn't being lined up to start production until around the same time. Nova, that's a show based on the Nova Corps that came out of Guardians of the Galaxy. I think they're making a series based on the Nova Corps, so that would be an interesting show to see as well. Back to the Champions. And the Marvels set the stage for Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, and Cassie Lang to be among the team's first members. Earlier this year, Catherine Newton shared her excitement over the possibility of suiting up for a future meeting between this second generation of superheroes. So Cassie Lang went on to say the following, obviously Ant-Man's daughter. Quote, "In the Marvel Universe, you hope for that. You hope to be. My whole thing is that I grew up watching Iron Man, and I feel like I grew up with the character. So my hope for Cassie Lang has always been to grow with my audience, be it with the people who are my age and saw it, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, or for the people who are just starting to watch Marvel movies at a young age. I saw one when I was little young, but I still love those movies. So if I get the opportunity to continue the story, then that would be so cool to be part of a generation that's growing up with a film. It's such a big part of my life. But they don't really tell you. They tell you an overall, but I don't take anything for granted. I'm just trying to get through the day. Let's finish one movie and then let's continue. But I would very much also jump at the opportunity to work with Marvel Studios again." That was Cassie Lang's quote there. Obviously, like I said, Ant-Man's daughter. Are you on board with a Young Avengers movie becoming a Champions TV show? I think cooler heads have prevailed over at Disney and over at Marvel. I think they've understood that a Young Avengers movie is just not going to generate the box office revenue they need to make it into a movie. Based on Miss Marvel, the Disney Plus show, based on the Marvel's movie that lost them $200 million, they've realized that they just can't do it, that it's just not financially viable. So they're rebranding it to stop from damaging the Avengers brand. They're also rebranding the title to get away from the Young Avengers, because the actors and actresses are like older now. They're like, older 20s or like early 30s. So you can't really call them the Young Avengers. So there's a few reasons there for the rebrand. But not just that, people don't care about the Young Avengers. So they think as well, by rebranding it to something else, it's going to trick the audience into not knowing that it's a Young Avengers project. So yeah, guys, I kind of throw it off to you. What do you think about this? Are you still interested in a Young Avengers project being rebranded, being turned into a series rather than a movie? Or like me, are you not really bothered whatsoever? You don't really care about a Young Avengers project whatsoever? I have no attachment to any of the characters. I mean, Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, I mean, she was quite cool in the Hawkeye show, and yeah, okay, I'm kind of interested in her character to some degree, but the other characters, I just don't care about. I find them like Riri Williams as Ironheart, I don't care. Scar, Hulk's son, I don't care. And some of the other characters, Miss Marvel, I honestly don't care about Miss Marvel whatsoever. And these characters have no attachment to them. But If they can do a great show, if they can write the characters well, have a compelling story, they put out a great first trailer, then I reserve the right to change my mind, and I'm sure you guys probably feel the same. But at the moment, I just don't feel that anybody in the fan base really cares about a Young Avengers project. Whether you rebrand it, whether you change it from a movie to a show, I still don't feel that people are that excited about it. But whatever your thoughts are, guys, jump into the comment section, leave your thoughts, comments, and opinions on this rebranding of the Young Avengers to the Champions. Is it something you're interested in, or like me, you don't really care? Whatever your thoughts are, guys, can't wait to hear them. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Supporting the channel really, really helps me, so I'd appreciate that. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.